hang on. Well, you guys I need like 30 seconds.
Literally, we get the live button. Tubbs like, bye.
And I'm strolling out.
I think we should talk to Tubbs' fancy leather chair there. I have this Office Depot crap. Tubbs over there living in the lap of luxury. You know,
I got a hand-me-down swivel chair.
Yeah, you know, we're over here brown bagging it, and Tubb is going to a 5-star Michelin Maître D catered restaurant of chairs.
Getting that filet mignon, you know?
Yeah, filet mignon and lobster claws. You over there with them lobster claws. Yeah, and he's from New England to combine that with the fact. And we are live. This is the Black Powder Podcast, the only real libertarian podcast in America, in North America, in the Western Hemisphere. In totality of liberty, we are here. I am your exalted host, Marcus Matthews, the only real libertarian Esquire. And
I don't think you're allowed to use that. I don't think you're allowed to use that term.
I am truly blessed to be joined.
Not with a law degree.
The dude is rocking a GED. He's talking about Esquire.
Okay, I was trying to properly introduce my other host tonight.
But you lied.
I think you need to make an official statement that you are not and never have been an attorney or have a law degree.
Is that what Esquire means? I thought
yes.
Cool.
He thought it just meant like he was civilized folk.
Well, like I mean, like Esquire magazine, right? That was all like
we had Esquire magazine. Yeah.
But and now that you mention it, that doesn't make is that a magazine for just lawyers?
Just attorneys? The attorneys just reading this like doesn't make any sense.
Get in where you fit in. That's what I say. And
we don't fit in well.
But Marcus, where do you fit in?
I fit in everywhere.
Oh, what the heck?
Like, because you are a bit of an enigma wrapped in a problem.
Yeah.
Like, you're a complex fella.
Sort of.
So I try to figure out, like, who do you hang out with? Like, when you're just hanging out, like you're going to dinner with somebody, who do you hang out with?
I literally have every class of American ethnic group in my friend circle. And I can honestly say that there is not one particular group that I hang out with.
Are there other black people in your circle?
Absolutely.
So you're not the token one?
Aside from my family, absolutely. I still keep in contact with the guys that I've known since about 13, 14 years old.
For real?
We talk about every week.
Who are you raised around? White people, black people, both?
A mix. Where I was raised is called the San Gabriel Valley here in Southern California. It was mostly white and Mexican. And then Asians and black were probably on the same percentage-wise as far as ethnic representation where I live. So
they were kind of like the minority where the Asians and whites where you lived?
I was in the minority group, but it's mainly white and Mexican where I grew up. And then that's actually flipped to where it's mainly Mexican and Asian now where I grew up.
Because, like, I picture you making a rap song, like shooting everybody up and all kinds of stuff as you went to, like, private school.
No, okay, so here we go. There is definitive proof of my rap style currently available on SoundCloud under the group named Shady Lane under 90s Hip Hop. So you can listen to what I actually rapped about.
Okay.
With distinction. And
can you play a segment of one of your songs right now?
No. I don't know. But I don't know if anybody.
They're on cassette. They're on 8-track tapes.
You know what? I'm gonna post the link and tag both of you in it on the podcast page so everybody can listen to it. We'll do that.
All right, but I go see it because I've been on social media in 3 weeks, dude.
Well, you're gonna have to.
I know.
Hey, okay, so hold on a second.
Which is why I could not be more unprepared for this episode than I am right now. Let's see what happens.
Marcus was an introvert up until about 14 years old. And then that's when a girl liked me, and somehow this magical being appeared in front of you, and the confidence factor skyrocketed.
Who do we blame? Who's this girl that we blame for this? What's her name?
I think her name was Kim.
You know.
My wife.
Whenever Marcus started his conversion therapy from gay to straight.
Hey, did it work? Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Am I here now? You should be cheering this on. You know.
Well, okay, so Marcus, to go back, like
Christians, yeah.
I wasn't even trying to be ugly against you. I was truly trying to figure out like who, because you don't fit into like a stereotypical black man. You know what I'm saying? Because now what people may not realize is when we actually talk to you about things, like you're a pretty smart guy. But not when I say it's going to come across wrong. Like black guys can't be smart, but you are not smart about the normal things. You know what I'm saying?
All like European history.
Yeah, like you got like stuff. I'm like, dude, for real? Like you would probably know more about my family history than I do.
You got that Jeopardy knowledge, you know.
Can I let? Okay, now you got two little secrets about me. One, as a punishment when I was a kid for screwing up in school, my dad made me read the encyclopedias from A to Z. And I was in my room for months because he said, I want to be able to open any chapter of an encyclopedia. You should have the bare basic knowledge of that subject matter.
Can we get your dad on the show one time?
Yeah, I actually invited him on. I don't know if he wants to come on because all he's going to do is insult me. And,
yes. I'll fit in great.
And he's in Florida. So, yeah. And
is he gonna make fun of us two honkies?
No.
Crackers.
and two, my friends used to tell me because we had a satellite TV before. I'm not going to talk about the details on why we had that, but
see, this is what I'm saying. This is the stuff right here. He's rapping about shooting, but going to private school. Like,
I didn't do that part.
Everybody else.
I was a failed public school. I got a failure in public school education. Public school education is absolute garbage. But my friends used to say, "You watched Jeopardy on the satellite channel before we came in here." Like I intentionally memorized all the questions 2 hours earlier so I can impress them.
That'd be legit. You did. I ain't gonna lie. That'd be pretty good.
No, I never needed to. The only thing I suck at in Jeopardy, because I've always wanted to go on there, is when they do Shakespeare. I always found Shakespeare absolutely boring and without any kind of interest. I had zero interest in anything Shakespeare. And
you ain't black. You ain't black.
Black people don't watch the Shakespeare.
Because listen, the stuff on Jeopardy is all this stuff that nobody really living life needs to know.
Yes, it is.
And there you are.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, it is.
Useless knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah. But
so hey, do we? Oh, hold on. By the way, you never even introduced Eric and I.
I was trying to, but you guys kept
first of all,
interrupting me. Okay.
He has all that stuff and he struggles with interrupting.
You know, you got to understand, you got the wheels turning and there's so many things firing. There's so many things going on in my mind right now. It's, I honestly think I was undiagnosed. I am the highest level of autism. I am the highest functioning level of autism. And I'm not saying that.
There's a lot smarter people.
No
offense.
If I had Elon Musk money, we would have already been on Mars. I guarantee you that 100%. Because I've always had a fascination with that stuff. But anyway, I want to introduce my other host on this beautiful Libertarian podcast. We're going to start off with the oldest member. This is my guy Tub.
Dude, you're still older than me. You're still older than me.
But people,
Marcus, we're going to settle this right now, because every week you say that, and every week I say you're older than I am. How old are you, Marcus? Right now, how old are you?
38.
Listen,
liar.
the last time you saw 30 was when you got out of prison.
Wow. Okay, I'm just gonna move on to my other host, my
So can you
guy.
answer my question though? I asked you a question.
I don't
He's not
How
recall.
old are
proud.
you?
I plead the fifth.
All right.
You're 52,
That-
aren't
that
you?
is-
Aren't you 52?
It's so many.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So I'm going with the fact that because I believe I'm correct that you are 52 years old.
Yes.
That makes
Tough,
you
how old
older
are
than
you?
me. I just
And
turned
we-
51 in February. So you are older than me, Marcus.
Okay,
So
I didn't lie. Hold on. We got a comment that says, "Don't lie, Marcus." I didn't lie. I told a creative story. So you know,
That's a
I'm
lie.
better than your average politician.
and yeah, he's the only one who hasn't run for office.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we have the youngest member of this podcast, which is Bean. And I'm going to introduce my other guy, Eric.
My
Parker,
guy.
Bold Liberty.
I'm 36. I know no one's asking, but
That's
all,
true.
man.
But that really is your age. That sucks, dude. You're
Yeah.
a child
You
still.
got a long way to go, bro. Long way
Yeah.
to go. You got so much.
Hey, I don't know if I've said it publicly on the podcast. I think it's well known, but my wife and I are expecting our first child in late July. So, yeah.
I want to say I am very happy for you because
Yep.
There's hope
one thing-
because of the mom.
yeah, she's did all the work.
Yeah.
But I
And
want to say
yeah.
this: when my daughter was born, which she was my second child, I have an older son. They're 22 months apart. But when I talk about my daughter, which I literally have a picture of her about 2 months old, looking, I can look directly at her right now. That was the first time I saw my heart beat outside of my body. So I am extremely excited for you that you're going to see that for
Yeah.
yourself, and you're going to be a changed man. I mean,
Good.
everybody, huh? You say good?
Good.
I got a lot of growing up to do.
Change that man.
Yeah, there is going to be a decisive change in your whole aura
All right,
that you cannot imagine right now. Go ahead.
Eric, you've already put the gender out there, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're having a girl.
Yes. Okay. So here's the thing. I didn't want to say. I didn't want to be the one to go. Oh, you know what's up. Okay. So here's what's funny though, and Eric, you know what? It's not even a shot, but Eric will be able to agree with this. Eric is going to be a great girl dad because Eric's a little more emotional.
Yes.
Eric's the guy that when we're sitting around and we're talking, he'll tear up about things. It's like he's going to crush like girl dad.
Yeah.
So it's gonna work. It's gonna work out pretty well for him. And I couldn't imagine having a girl. Oh my goodness. Oh, it would not have gone well for me if I had girls.
My
Like,
wife
Hey,
makes
I
fun
thought
of
you had
me
a daughter.
Wait.
Wait, Tub, you don't have a daughter?
No.
So your
I do.
son got with married a black woman?
No, my son is black.
He's got a white son, a black son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know you're genetic because you're German, so I just naturally assumed you.
Oh, everybody was this white?
Yeah, no, you just kept it pure. And I'm quite disappointed in you as a what you're supposed to be a German. That oh my god, I did not know this.
For real?
I did not know.
Okay, yes. All right. So,
I have
two.
son.
So my oldest son is from my first marriage, very much white, all falls in place.
Okay.
My youngest son, so my wife adopted him with her first husband when our son was 8 days old.
Okay.
Like she's had him the whole time.
That's
Okay.
Yeah.
And so he's the brown one. So what happened was, so when I came in, which of course I've been around now for over 21 years.
Okay.
And so and he just turned 27. So I'm the one that's been around and I adopted him. So that's my son. And so so my son and it always throws people off, especially like you've seen my grandson. Like you've seen him.
That's what I saw running.
Right. And so when people see us, I know what people are thinking. They're thinking, oh, dude, their daughter hooked up with a brown kid and now they got this kid. And and I'm like, no, my brown son hooked up with a Puerto Rican. And this is what we have.
Okay. Well, okay then. That really solved a complete mystery for me. That the mystery only started about 2 minutes
Yes.
ago when I didn't
Okay.
realize you had a daughter. Because I was like, oh, Tuck's daughter has to marry a black dude.
See, you went with the
You got a
thing that said his
stereotype.
white daughter hooked up with a brown guy.
Y'all love us, dude. I'm not
Not
even.
that there's anything wrong with that.
Yo,
Yeah,
there's no.
not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yo, because it was like, is this the first time y'all met? And I'm like, bro, this was the first time we've actually explained that. Because I got to be honest, I stereotyped you. I naturally assumed you had a daughter.
No,
Don't
good
worry,
Lord,
Marcus.
nobody would
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
What
Marcus,
is this what I'm supposed to say?
you.
No way, I have a daughter. No way I'd let my daughter hook up with a black guy. Is that what you want me to say right now?
Not necessarily, but I know you're thinking it. Just kidding. We're gonna move on.
I mean,
This is a current events episode.
I'm not thinking it. I'm not thinking it.
But I'm
Well,
thinking.
nobody's-
I'm not thinking it. But
But
But my dad is thinking it. If you know what I mean. That's one of those
Yeah.
like we gotta give it.
Hey,
yes, if somebody's dad said it, it wasn't me with my kids. Eric.
Before we get to this current topics episode, and I got
we have topics.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm gonna present them and get your educated libertarian opinions on this stuff. And I want to apologize in advance for everybody listening, watching when I say educated libertarian opinions, because that's a misnomer or oxymoron. Because everybody knows libertarians are whacked out space cadets with unrealistic, ideologically weird policies and stuff. But this is what I wanted to show everybody right here. And I want to reach out to Tactical Shit and let them know we will advertise this product for free. Just give our people a discount code. This is the coolest thing that I have seen in a very long time. Eric, can you speak to this or
it looks like a version of a 249 saw almost. They took an AR platform, made it belt fed. We shot the M249 saw.
Right.
So I mean, it's not exactly M249 because but I mean, it's a belt fed AR, but it looks like it's got a magazine port on the bottom as well. Okay, is that right?
As well, and a quick change barrel.
So the 249, you could belt feed and magazine feed. It sucked. It jammed all the time if you fed it magazines. But that was the perfect thing. Like if you ran out of your belt fed ammunition, your bag's holding your belt, and you're like, in a heavy firefight, and there's a guy next to you with plenty, like he can't get a shot off. He's got a carrier full of mags. He could toss you a mag. You could jam it in there, and you could fire off some rounds. It wouldn't fire full auto. It'd be semi-auto at that point, but still, yeah, this is pretty dope build. I mean, I've never heard of the brand, the Raptor belt fed upper receiver unleashed true firepower. This is dope, man. This is cool.
Dope.
Oh, I was just gonna say, you said that you would start advertising this if you just started for free.
Yeah. He can clip.
Do they really have to? Do they really have to sponsor now? You're doing it for free.
Dude, now he can clip this video, send it to him, and be like, "I'd keep doing this. Just hook our followers up."
Because I wanted to expand on this. So, nowhere in America can you get this in automatic without a lot of stuff, right? And I don't even know if they even make automatic weapons like this that anybody with the highest level of FFL can actually buy. But here in California, you can buy a 249. It'll be the California Weirdo grip on it, but you can buy one. But it's going to cost you about $9,000 for that. This right here is roughly half the price, and probably, what would you say, Eric? About 2 pounds lighter or so.
Oh yeah, yeah. Looks way lighter.
Yeah, and with the quick change barrel, that that's the plus for me. I just wanted to do that, you know. Hold on. So
We should
that
do
was
that more often. Like when we get into topics, can you screen share your
yeah,
topics?
for
Like
sure.
Google it. Let's start doing that.
Yeah, and we're like I said, this is a current events episode for us where we're letting you know what's going on from a libertarian perspective. And Joe brings up a point, and that I was actually reading about today in Florida. It's the 6th district, right?
Yes.
And
So Republicans hate Randy Fine, and we talked
they
about
do.
that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's what I read today because I was trying to like look at multiple subject matters, and I felt when I came across this, I felt like one Floridian and one former Floridian. With the Florida man, you always get a Mexican American induced opinion. Oh,
Mexican. No.
West, Jacksonville West Side.
Or Tubbs a Christian, but he's not a Methodist.
Methodist. I feel like that's a good time to check out. All right, guys, y'all have a blessed night, and we'll see you next week.
okay, so what's going? Do you guys know anything going on with that? Because you're right. Republicans hate the Republican candidate running, and because he's been half-assing it so much so that Trump had to come up with a advertisement for him because it's getting kind of critical for Republicans in the House right now with the extremely slim margin and the mavericks that they have in their party. So, do we
So,
have any news about how my guy Parrott is doing down there?
well, let me explain. I know for a fact, and Joe Hanush can put it in the comments. Like, I think Andrew Parrott is working his butt off, and this Randy Fine character hasn't been doing anything. But it's deeper than that. Like, so Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, is a deep state neocon, like the swamp creature that he's supposed to get rid of when he drains the swamp, right? And she's the one that's responsible for all of his bad appointments. Like if you like some of his people and some of his cabinets, it probably isn't because of her. It's probably because of other people outside of her. But all of her bad cabinet position picks for him and bad endorsements, especially within the Republican Party of Florida, is because she is a lobbyist and she is owned by special interests. So she puts in these like rhinos, what Republicans call them, these just terrible candidates for liberty and for limited government. Randy Fine's one of those, and he's also a punk. I would use a different word. He's a biatch. Is that
Yeah, that's
not
perfectly
is that
satisfactory.
fine?
That
Like
is medical
he
term.
he called like some decent Republicans that I know in Jacksonville, called them anti-Semites when they were running for office, and they were from like a Jewish lineage ancestry. And then like other people, whenever they were trying to sue him for defamation and libel or whatever, he hid from getting served. And there's a video of that on the internet. You're going to find him hiding in it under his desk when they're trying to serve his lawsuit papers. He's a punk. And Andrew Parrott's out there as a constitutional conservative libertarian winning over disenfranchised Republicans. And also, I think I saw like the Democrat in that race has raised like $6 million to the Republican candidate Randy Fine's like 500, 600,000. That's the problem. Is like us coming in third. I don't know what Andrew Parrott's raised. All of us, I think, gave to his campaign. Like,
Yeah.
imagine what we could do with $500,000, $600,000 in a race like that. But we might not need to. Andrew Parrott could be the deciding factor. And if all the Republicans that know Randy Fine sucks would vote for Andrew Parrott, he could win. And some of the Democrats. I think the Democrat that's running is like a super progressive Democrat. Like I imagine, like had the Democrat Party ran like a moderate Democrat, I think the Democrat could have won in a landslide, but because it's a super progressive, that helps Andrew Parrott's numbers a lot. Like some moderate Democrats could lean towards Andrew Parrott.
One of the things I want to say about the Democrat, where I think he's not reading the lay of the land, is he's and I'm not saying this as in any sort of bigoted way, but he's a Muslim convert, and that's still not completely acceptable in America, so to speak. And being a progressive, I think that's two knocks against him. And I'm talking from a strategic point of view. This is why the Libertarian Party has to get involved in these races. And I'm not talking about Tub when I'm saying racist. I'm talking about racist, like
racist,
500, like going around the track. But when you talk about these races, Libertarians got to read the lay of the land. This was the perfect opportunity to throw some weight behind a candidate in a perfect storm, where you have a unliked Republican and a progressive radical Democrat. This was the time to elevate a libertarian candidate and start chipping away at this great wall of duopoly. And that's what like kind of pisses me off about the Libertarian Party, is we miss these opportunities, just like we missed this opportunity in this last election, where when it was originally Trump and Biden, America didn't want that. They didn't want either one of those candidates again. And then when Biden saw the writing on the wall, because he should have been a one-term candidate from the very beginning, according to the Democrat strategy, they screwed themselves over, and now we're stuck with the same thing, the same failed experiments. And the Libertarian Party had a chance to look at the failed Biden 4 years, the previously failed Trump 4 years, and make headway. And now we're not even jumping in this House race as we should be, as far as backing a candidate.
So I wonder if, like, Stephen, being from Florida, knows of Andrew Parrott. I'm pretty sure he does. I wish that Stephen had been able to, take over his chair sooner and get some wheels turning. But look, we can't give Andrew Parrott $100,000, but we could probably give his campaign $10,000 in a race like that. Andrew Parrott, if he could have got, if he could have got $10,000 and do like one round of mailers right before early voting started, or something that the big leagues do. Like, the establishment politicians are going to do TV, they're going to do radio, they're going to do mailers. Like, he could have, with what he's raised, I assume Andrew's been able to do some text banking. Like, that's what I did in the last minute push of my campaign. It's like, I spent $1,000 of campaign funding on like text messages. I had to use the Peerly app, and I had to push the button for every single one. But I sent out 3,000, 4,000 text messages the week of the election. Early voting had started. So, and like I would get responses from people. I got people ask if they could, like, because it would use a fake phone number, but you had to push the button to get past like election laws. Like, you couldn't send it one mass text. So it would change, and it would do a random phone number, but people could reply. And when they replied, it costed you a text. And if you replied back, it costed you a text. So like 5 cents, 10 cents a piece. And I'm having conversations with people, and they're like, is this just a volunteer? And I was like, no, this is the candidate. Like, and I was like, you know what? I'll give you my actual phone number and you can call me. And they would.
It's way easier, cheaper.
Yeah, it's cheaper that way. And then I'd have a conversation with them, and I'd be like, no. And like, some of them were like well connected within Republican circles, and they were disappointed with my Republican candidate. And they acknowledged, I don't think you have a chance to win, but I wanted to learn more about you. And they tried connecting me with like a sitting Democrat state senator to see if she, behind, the curtains, could pull some levers and be like, yo, Democrats, get out and vote. But she wouldn't bite. So I have her number in my phone too. But anyways, like I was sending her texts, and I was like, "This probably isn't a good idea because they could screenshot these texts, and later when I'm running, if I ever ran as a Republican or Democrat, whatever, they could be used against me." You know what I mean? So I'm like, but that's neither here nor there. Inside baseball.
All right. So this turns into the conversation for libertarians overall, because like right there, as we're sitting here, I've been sitting here looking at the statistics and the demographics of that district specifically, and it's heavily Republican. And so, do libertarians, like even Andrew here, like he probably realistically, remember we had him on the show, like he's a decent guy,
He's
um,
awesome. Yeah.
and I think that we have this constant mentality where we're running to spoil, running to make a name. You know what I'm saying? And it seems like we're never truly running to win. And I think that unfortunately, as libertarians, we become comfortable with running to stir things up and not running to win.
Right.
You know, and I think we actually remember we started talking about this with Steven last week about, hey, do we find it that it's better if libertarians say, hey, I'm going to get in and run in one of the major two parties just because, listen, I want a chance to actually win, as opposed to just being a spoiler or saying I got my name out there or getting on there and saying some good libertarian points. Like, are we coming to a point inside the party where we start going, hey, listen, if we're going to stay in the party and we're going to run, maybe we have to run as candidates. Maybe we got to not run as libertarians so that we have a better chance.
I have two words to say to that: Justin and Mosh.
Okay. So yes, you're saying yes, we have to run out of party.
He tried to run within the Republican Party as a he tried to govern in the Republican Party as a libertarian, and they brummushed him out of the show.
But didn't he change parties while in office?
To a certain extent, but he didn't. He never changed principles.
Right. But what I'm saying is, you gotta understand, for them, they don't care. It's a letter.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying though, because remember my only issue, like, is Eric is a big fan of Justin Amash, and like I said, my only complaint I ever had against Justin Amash is that he never ran as a libertarian.
Yeah, he did hold office, but it's after he changed. But so, like, let's go back though. Like, he only got in office because he ran as a Republican. Had he ran as and first off, I think his story is he actually ran in state legislature first, won, and that might be Thomas Massey I'm getting mixed up with, but I also think they have the same story, right? Ran for something like a level before, won, and everyone said, and I think when they say everyone said, I think their local GOP said, we think you should run for Congress. So when you kind of get like the nod from the kingmakers, the actual kingmakers that can make a difference, that you go with it. And that's my thing though, is like, I agree with you, Tub, that I'm at the point now, like me, I'm still a registered libertarian, and I want to see the Libertarian Party grow and run competitive candidates in competitive races. I don't ever want that to end. If I ever leave the Libertarian Party, I'm not burning it down on my way out. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I am not opposed to people who, if they can win, leave the Libertarian Party and run as a Republican and win your race. But I don't want you doing that in the state of North Carolina. That's for dang sure. In fact, I want you to run as a libertarian in the state of North Carolina because we got some races that we could win. But I get it. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, if you really can win, shoot your shot. That's my thing.
Right.
And like, imagine, so I've had this, I don't want to be the one saying this. I wish someone else would say this, Tub. So I'm going to speak for you right now.
All right, so this is me speaking with Eric's voice. Go.
All right, so you got to move your mouth and I'll cover mine. So imagine if like Andrew Parrott didn't, like, he didn't win this time, which I think he can. He has a chance. But imagine if Andrew Parrott didn't win this time, but in 2 years he ran as the Republican, and he, hypothetically assuming Randy Fine everyone hates, and he ran and primaried Randy Fine in 2 years. You know, because a lot of Republicans, like, I like you're not moving your mouth up. A lot
Oh,
of
oh.
Republicans are like, I like Andrew Parrott, but I gotta vote with my party. Then Imagine's like, oh look, I like Andrew Parrott, and he's in my party, and we all hate Randy Fine. That's a great point you made there, Tub.
Hey, every now and then I'm coherent. Yeah, but I think that's the thing. Okay, so in all honesty, what you're saying is basically would work for you and I specifically, in that we already ran, we got our name out there a little bit. They saw where we stand, they saw what we believe on. They go, okay, so come on over here, and we can probably do something with you. You know,
Yeah.
and like I said, that listen, it gets tempting because as they, like I have zero desire to be this ongoing running candidate. Like I don't know how Joe
No
Hanus
offense,
does.
Joe.
I
Keep
no,
doing your thing.
I don't know how he does it. Like because like Joe goes hard. He doesn't just like he's not a paper candidate when he runs. He runs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like I don't have that in me. I ain't gonna lie. Like I'm not gonna lie. I'm not. I can't pull it off like Joe does. And so Joe goes. He puts the work in. And I go, listen, I know I can't realistically, I know me. And I can like Eric, remember when you ran, like you did all the work, dude. Can you
Yeah.
imagine doing that every cycle, every 2 years?
No, that's why I haven't filed to run again.
Exactly. And so that's what I'm saying. So it comes to a point where you say, hey, listen, I'm going to be a candidate. So if I'm going to be a candidate, my purpose should be I want to win. That's the point. So do you finally go, listen, I'm a candidate, not just a guy who's trying to grow the Libertarian Party. I'm trying to get in office. I'm trying to make a change. I'm trying to do something. I think that's when we start going, all right, dude, you can run 12 times as a Libertarian and maybe get a little more votes each time. Or you can
But
say, hey, run your second time and go be effective. And
Joe
really,
makes Joe Hanoush makes a valid point. I'm not trying to interrupt, but I
no, you're good.
get Joe. Like Joe Hanoush makes a valid point. Like Randy Fine had a primary challenger, and Randy Fine won handedly. And then
Yeah.
this is a very Republican district. I think it's the point he's trying to make with Waltz. He's just saying that the establishment guy who got promoted to Trump's cabinet won his primary 78-22. So the registered Republicans are gonna. Majority of them are going to show up and they're going to vote for the establishment candidate. And we've seen that in Mara Macy's race in Jacksonville twice. And like, we're going to see it again with Rutherford and whoever ends up running against them because Susie Wiles endorsed the establishment. Like Rutherford has an F voting record. It's worse than Liz Cheney. Look it up. Like, but he still won his primary. Like twice. Like he's one of the worst Republicans in office. And Trump, when I say Susie Wiles, I mean Trump endorsed him through Susie Wiles making the recommendation. So that's the problem. Is like if you don't have the establishment nod, and that's the weird thing about like Florida Republican politics is you got Ron DeSantis is like an establishment politician, but he's not in MAGA because he ran against Trump in the primaries, and now like MAGA's not letting him in the cool kids club.
Okay, so all right, let's have that talk. What does he do next?
Ron
DeSantis.
What's funny is I kind of think they were trying to convince his wife to run for governor, and I don't know if you saw like Trump's like, I don't know if he's going to run, but my guy's Byron McDonald's, basically saying you can run your wife, but if you do, I'm endorsing her opponent. And then so it's like, inside fighting in the Republican Party. I don't know what he does. I think he should run for Senate. Not that I would vote for him, but I think that's his next move.
I think that's his next safe move, to be honest with you. I think it's that same thing. I think it should go in that direction. Because he's already done state level before. Go ahead, Marcus.
I just want to say this, and I think Tubb will agree with me on this. I think we should be polishing Eric Parker to be a high-profile libertarian candidate in the state of North Carolina, because I think you bring a certain element to the electorate that everybody can actually coalesce around. Because I think you bring the Southern drawl Tubbs to you. I think you bring up brothers to you because you brought
Oh,
me
still
to.
Tub. Still Tub. Okay, so you got Tub in two ways.
Yeah.
You got Tub in Southern
But
Draw and
when we're
Black.
talking about candidates, I think I'm not trying to butter your ass up. Excuse me, Tub, but
I'm gonna butter your burger.
Up first, I'm gonna butter your
I'm not trying to
muffin.
butter your
All right,
ass
hang
up.
on. The question becomes, who knows that reference? But first, I'm gonna butter your muffin.
I don't know butter your
That's not
muffin.
Pulp Fiction, right?
No, it's weird science, dude. It's weird
Oh,
science. When Chet looks at her and goes, but first,
I
I'm
knew
gonna butter
Eric.
your muffin.
Eric
right.
wouldn't know anything about the.
He's too
I
young.
know weird
He's too
science.
young.
That's the one where they made the
All right,
hot
anyway, I'm
chick,
sorry.
right?
Keep going. Keep buttering Eric up.
When I think about Eric Parker, I think about a future because he's relatively young.
Relatively.
Yeah.
For politics, he's way young.
In this
Yeah.
crowd.
Yeah, you're way better looking than JD Vance with the beard because
Yeah.
JD Vance is getting butchered with the memes, and it has been hysterical in my book.
I
But
feel like JD Vance still had, which I don't, guys. I'm heavy, but JD Vance wears his baby fat like in his cheeks.
he's
You know what I mean?
pudgy. He's very pudgy, and like
He's probably lighter than me and has more muscle, but his face is way
I
fat.
think he can whoop his ass because I think.
Oh yeah, let there be no doubt. Let there be no doubt. Eric can handle it.
You could beat the dog crap out.
He was a Marine, but I think he was like a reporter or something. So
he was not a real Marine, dude. He was like the smart Marines that Marines don't respect.
Man, Libertarians can't let anybody be a real anything.
No.
He's not even a real Marine. He's not even a real vice president. He's
not. Well, we're gonna get to it.
Hold on. Now, Marcus, I know that you want to continue down the line of Trump sucks, because that's you like that era.
That's your brand.
Now, right. But now I will tell you, there are some things I'm like, okay, now y'all know I made very clear I don't think our party should have endorsed him in the way that they did, all those type of things. But there are some things that's happening that I'm not against. I ain't gonna lie. And I'm like, okay, but
government at all.
But here's the thing. JD Vance, so that's where we were. That's where we were at.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. I'm hearing him say some things, and I don't hate him. I'm not gonna lie.
In the leaked, I guess we're changing topics here. But
go ahead, go.
Are you talking about the leaked chat, whatever, the signal chat, right? Where they're literally talking about bombing the Houthis in Yemen or wherever it was at. And like JD Vance is like, yo, this isn't what Trump campaigned on. He's like, we campaigned on ending the wars. We campaigned on less bombing. He literally on podcasts was like, we shouldn't be bombing Yemen. Like, those are Trump's words. It doesn't make sense. Why are we bombing Yemen? And JD Vance is bringing it up in that text. So I don't know if that's what you're talking about. But that's one example, like JD Vance being like, and to be fair, like I think JD Vance is more of a neocon than people thought Trump was running as. I don't think Trump cares. I don't know. Maybe he does care, but I think Trump once again has surrounded himself with a bunch of neocons in his cabinet, and beneath him, the Hegseth guy seems like a guy that probably just got a lot of money from Boeing. Boeing just got a really fat $200 billion
crazy.
Contract. Yeah.
If you know anything about the military, Boeing getting that contract was absolutely, excuse me again, Tub, but that was batshit crazy because Boeing is not a leader.
Dude, literally. Their regular planes were blowing up, weren't they?
Right.
Their passenger planes couldn't fly
Marcus,
based on software.
We need some memes where like the windows fly out of the brand new stealth bomber. You know what I mean?
When I read about Boeing getting that contract, I was like, "What the hell happened at Boeing?" Because that was
money changing hands. They got Hegseth.
No
They
other reason.
lobbied Hegseth for that position is what happened here, I think.
No other.
And then,
I'm sorry, Tub, to go all Jeopardy on you, but
Oh no.
Lockheed
no, that
Martin
was
has always
ADD.
been
I'll be
the
back.
stealth
I'm going to
technology
get a beer.
and advanced aircraft. Well, yeah, he said it'll be back. But Lockheed Martin has always been the leader in that particular field of military hardware, and they're far and not even close. Unless Boeing actually got some engineers from Lockheed Martin, this particular deal makes zero sense whatsoever.
All right, so let me ask this, because you are still very anti-Trump overall, but I think you know what it is. I think that's just the libertarian in you. I think the libertarian in you, because you being the only real libertarian supposedly,
That's true.
it makes it very hard for you sometimes to say that this person or that other person outside the party may not be horrible. So here's what I would like to hear from you. What is something that you can look at the Trump administration right now and go, okay, that's not bad?
Um,
Dude, there's an easy one. It's this is a
no,
this is a layup.
it's not for me. Because I think they do things for good TV. Yeah, there's my guy.
He's leaving. Bye bye.
His Supreme Court picks actually broke the stalemate of the 2A issues.
But hold on, I'm talking about this term.
This term,
Yeah.
There's
I would
one thing
say
he did.
the destruction of the Department of Education and IRS.
Yes, that's what I was saying. There's one. It's a layup. Yes. Listen, I've had conversations with people I don't know how many times, and you know how libertarians always like to ask, which department would you get rid of? Oh, I'm gonna get. They always ask that, and I go, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I said the first one I would get rid of is Department of Education, because it has this ongoing holding people back. It's generational holding people back, holding people back, holding people back. I'm like, get rid of that and watch how things start to change.
Yeah.
And so I look at that and I go, I don't have to like Trump and put a bumper sticker on my truck to go, yes, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one of those things. I don't want to be the libertarian that no matter what, this administration is always wrong. I don't want to play that game. I want to go, dude, that's legit finally.
Joe Hanush in the comments brings up a good point, though. He says, is DOE gone yet? It's gone with an executive order that if it's not codified into law, and the Republicans, and I'll say this, if you get a bad Republican in 4 years, which I don't know, if it's not Thomas Massie or Rand Paul, I know Marcus doesn't like Rand Paul that much, but if it's not one of those two.
Hold on. I told you my problem with Rand Paul. It's one thing. I told you it's that one thing.
I know. All right, that's fine. All right.
What's the one thing? What's the one thing?
He let his neighbor beat him up. That's it.
Yeah, that shit would not be over. That's never over. It would be round 2, 3, 4, and 5. I would come back, but okay, yeah, go ahead.
But he's an optometrist, right?
I don't care.
He's an eye doctor.
So, do you expect the optometrist to be out there fighting in the front yard?
I would
have
trained and out of that fool's eye. He would have had to come see me for some eye surgery after that.
Yeah, that would have been ironic. Like, sorry, I your eye. Don't worry, I can fix that. I'm gonna need your insurance. Anyways, no, but like, if you don't codify it into law with Thomas Massie's bill to end the Department of Education in 3.5 years.
Be back.
And you get a bad Republican president. You get a Lindsey Graham as your next president of the United States because he's, the Republican guy, or a Marco Rubio. Rubio is positioning himself for a run.
Always.
A huge statist. It'll be like, actually, because, the teachers union lobby funds his reelection. He'll say, actually, we need the Department of Education again. And they could bring it back. So that's the problem with just doing an executive order. He could get rid of Trump's executive order to end the Department of Education, and the money is already there, and they're open back up. Just crappier.
Oh, let's be real about this. I want America. Dear America, I'm talking to you right now. Let's be real about what Trump has done. While we all agree the Department of Education is a colossal failure, it is going to take an act of Congress to actually get rid of it. You're going to need 60 senators. No?
You know what you could
It's
do?
still being
You can
funded.
defund it. You could
Well,
just
that's
not appropriate the
Congress.
funds.
That's also Congress.
That's through Congress. That's
Yep.
still through Congress.
Yeah,
but then you have the argument of, hey, we're not going to give it money. And you don't have to worry about getting rid of it.
Well,
once again, you do still run the issue of what Eric was saying. It could still be brought back up again. You know what I'm saying? But you can say you can basically just unfund it and it just dies on the vine, basically.
Well, and I do think Trump is going to the next spending, because this CR he just signed still had funding for the Department of Education in it. Like, I would have vetoed it. I would have vetoed that one and say bring it back with the funding for Department of Education out of it, and you don't move that money anywhere else. We give it back to the taxpayer, or we give it back to the school districts, but the federal government is not getting that Department of Education money.
So it wouldn't have gone past the Senate, because the Senate, they actually had Democrat support for that CR.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't, if they had defunded the education department, it wouldn't have got.
It veto proof? It wasn't veto proof, right? He could have vetoed
what do you need? Don't you need 3/4 for a veto?
Yeah, 2/3 or 3/4 or something. I don't know. We should read the Constitution.
They only have like two votes. Yeah. And that's the ineffectiveness of the duopoly, because what you saw this week, aside from that fact, was this whole signal thing with Hegseth and his group. And what was ironic to me was and I call this incompetent hypocrites criticizing incompetent hypocrites. Because all these people always want to point out the flaws in the government, and they're both equally and absolutely responsible for these flaws going forward. And it just sickens me that when your team's in charge, you're going to make excuses, no matter what. And Americans, and when I talked to Tub earlier today, I talked about it. It's the pendulum of stupidity, where the pendulum swings left and right, knocking both of those people in the head. And usually that's when their team is in charge, and they just refuse to accept responsibility for the failures. And we talk. Everybody talks about accountability when they're in charge. We're in charge because these people weren't accountable for what they did. Whether it's Biden or Trump or Obama or Bush or whoever it was, they always want to talk about accountability when their team's not in charge. But when their team's in charge and these mistakes happen, it's give us a break. We're trying as hard as we can. Tub, you're
There's a guy I listen to. The only reason I keep satellite radio is a guy I listen to on there. He's very libertarian friendly. Like, it's nice that he will mention libertarians every single day. It's never a bad thing. He's always like, hey, listen. And so what he says on there often is he says Republicans hold office and Democrats hold power. And stop and think about that. Like, when Democrats get into, they don't care. They can have the slimmest of majorities, and they're going to push their stuff through. They're going to make it happen. Republicans are happy just holding office.
Yes.
And that's the difference. And that's why nothing gets done. As much as I hate to say it, I would like to see, and it's going to come across wrong, but I would like to see the Republicans do what the Democrats do. Force it through. Who cares if you like it or not? We're doing it anyway. Yeah. We have the numbers. We're making it happen.
If you don't pass it, government shut down. Like, that's the point. Is like, if the Republicans had the nards, they could do that. Yep. They could just say, Democrats did this. They shut down your government. And then, oh, sorry that this didn't get paid or whatever. It's the Democrats. Eventually it's going to pass, but they don't really care.
They don't care.
It's pretend. It's play. You know what I mean?
So is there a level then when we just start saying, because we said earlier about libertarians, we run which party and make effective change, but are we coming to a point though where it makes no difference? There's going to be no effective change. It's just like you said, the pendulum's just going to do this. Nothing's really ever going to happen. Do we come to a point when we go, you know what? Why bother? Like there are
Not,
so many people have
not,
checked out. Like I
yeah.
don't care anymore.
Not
think-
until libertarians. I'm sorry, Eric. Real quick, and then I'll give you the mic. Not until libertarians start taking races like Andrew Parrott's race seriously. Not until they take like Michael White's race like he had seriously, and not until they back Chase all. If we chose Chase Oliver, that was our candidate. Not until they take that seriously and not invite all these Republicans into the fold. Democrats are low hanging fruit if you want to insult them. It's not even a sport. I making fun of Democrats to me is literally like picking on special needs kids, and Tub knows like that's what I say. It's not even a sport to me. It's not even fun to me because anything you say is true. But when it comes to Republicans, when they talk about liberty, when they talk about liberty issues, you have to look at them side eye and say, let's see what you mean by that, by what you do. And that's why I'm a tad bit more critical on them, because they talk about, the greatness of this country and things of that along those nature. But then we get the Patriot Act. But then we get the NDAA. But then we get, them wavering on the Second Amendment when states like my state in California are saying, there's more than half the states have regular AR-15s that everybody else has. No other state has a pistol list of what pistol you can own. And they were like, well, if you don't like that, move. Every American is in the same line. Every American could be subjugated to the laws that we have in California if every American doesn't stand up and fight for your fellow Americans' right. Because I may be in the front of the line, but you may be 3-4 positions behind me if you're not careful.
I'm way behind you. I'm in Florida.
You're not that far. And I will point out Nevada. Nevada was one of the freest states when it comes to the Second Amendment that has ever existed. And Colorado, same thing.
Yeah.
And they have had anti-2A legislation pop up and start taking effect. Colorado, they're down to 15 rounds. Nevada, every year they fight that same battle. And that's why I implore my fellow Americans to fight with me and understand that the duopoly is not our friend any way you size it up. But that's
go ahead, Eric.
Well, I was just gonna say, I feel like you were asking, like, is it worth the fight anymore from a principled libertarian perspective? Do you specifically mean as a registered libertarian, or are you just saying as a principled libertarian? You know what I mean?
I am a registered libertarian, and
I'm asking. Well, I mean, like, Marcus, I had this thought like earlier today. I was like, I'm not trying to out you. I'm pretty sure when I came on this podcast,
I knew it. I knew he was. Oh, that's not what you're talking about. Never mind.
You were registered, no party affiliation, right, or independent?
Initially, yes.
Yeah.
Because
and then you changed, like, after hearing so many arguments about why you should join the Libertarian Party and basically having like real libertarians on the podcast. Anyways, you're like, you know what? They make a good argument. But that's my, like, is no one making that good argument anymore? Like, why did I join the Libertarian Party if they're not going to help? And so is that, but I don't know, Tub, if you're talking about the party or you're just talking about, like, as a principal libertarian, like, why fight?
Yeah, right. So if we look at it, say, yes, why would we fight in the party, for one thing? Because where are we getting? Yeah. But I can also see where there are people who have checked out altogether regardless of party. where they've kind of
kicked
said, you
out
know
of
what?
politics.
Yep, I just don't care. And you know what's funny?
Yeah.
So I actually, Mark, that's kind of what I said to you earlier today. I said, so like I have been off social media for 3 weeks now, which changed my mood completely. I said, and I even told him, I said, you know what? I'm telling you right now. I said, there's a certain level of I haven't been paying attention to politics near as much as I have usually do. And you know what? I'm just fine. And so when and I'm starting to understand. You know, you ever come across people and they go, "I don't pay attention to politics," and I go, "But you gotta do. They're affecting like." And I always make the argument why you have to, and now I'm starting to kind of go, oh, I see why they don't. You know what I'm saying? Like I can kind of
Yeah.
because we sit here and we talk about nothing's changing. Like
Well,
nothing's changing. So why get all worked up for a system that doesn't care a lick about us and they're going to keep doing what they want to do anyway? Why should I get my life worked up over it? So why should I run? Why should I run, especially as a libertarian? And maybe why should I run at all? I could just go forget it and I could just do my life and not be involved in the madness.
so I got some arguments.
Okay.
Not arguments, but I guess maybe
Counterpoints.
explanations or counterpoints or my perspective. You're right, it does not help most people to pay attention to politics and then just show up and cast their one
Right.
vote on their ballot.
Mm-hmm.
But it does make a difference to show up and do work, if that makes sense. Do something.
What do you mean?
Now,
At bare minimum,
So-
I agree.
So neither one of us or any libertarians in Jacksonville won. But I remember being a Republican in 2008, 2012, and then 2016 Rand Paul, like not winning and feeling like what's the point? But the libertarians inside those circles were the minority. Like when I would try to tell people about Ron Paul, like your typical Republican about Ron Paul, they're like, you're a lunatic. Now there are libertarian ideas like abolishing the Department of Education, like in the forefront of politics from one side. You know what I mean? And I get it. It's not happening through the libertarian president, the registered libertarian president, and Trump's not even ideologically close. But that idea became popular because Ron Paul always said that would be the first department he would get rid of. And HUD, and he's like, but I'm not done there. You know what I mean? I'm getting rid of HUD. Basically he's getting rid of everything except for the Department of Defense, and he probably would change the name back to the Department of War. That's kind of the only reason you have them there. Anyway, I digress.
Like, what did
it
Ron
moved the needle?
But
what?
But did he?
No. Like
because think of how many years it's been. Did he?
Well,
and if the needle move that slow, like
yes. The problem is if you don't have billions of dollars, the needle moves that slow, and he doesn't have billions of dollars.
Right.
But he influenced people like that do have billions of dollars. Like, not that he's great, but like Elon Musk retweeting Ron Paul tweets. You know what I mean? Like that's or quotes from Thomas Sowell. You know what I mean? Like that is in the mainstream, whereas usually or 15 years ago, it was only nerds like us that paid attention to economics that knew who Thomas Sowell was. You know what I mean? Knew who Frederick Hayek was. You know what I mean? Like I remember reading The Road to Serfdom in an economics class. That sort of thing. Like in the mainstream, no one cared. But now I feel like it's trending in the right direction. The philosophy. And it's kind of, you got a libertarian president, and he's on first name basis with our president. You know what I mean? Like it is moving in that direction. I hate that Trump gets credit for doing things libertarians want to do. You know what I mean? I wish we had more political capital. All right, but I mean, like specifically though, in our local election, like before we ran, people in Jacksonville didn't know what a libertarian is, and now, like people that are registered, Now those 12, but they're also REC members in the Duval County GOP, and we know them by name, and we could call them and talk to them anytime, and they respect the libertarian ideas. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna, I don't know if I should say this. There's a guy who is an officer within the Duval County GOP that whenever we were running, we explained libertarianism to him inside of a brewery, and he said, "Dang, maybe I'm a libertarian." You know who I'm talking about?
Is that
He
the one
ran
I
for
met with
office.
recently?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, like, that happened. Dang, maybe I'm a libertarian. And this is the guy in an official, like, high up position within the Tubbs local Republican Party. So that's my point. Like, that would have never happened if you didn't put in the work.
There it is.
Go ahead, Marcus.
No, go ahead. I'll defer.
Is it enough to do it again?
That's a personal decision. Like, I haven't been encouraged enough recently to run for office again, but I am still encouraged to help out my state Libertarian Party as a candidate coordinator.
Right.
If you live in the state of North Carolina and you want to run for office, reach out.
Nice plug. Nice plug. Well done, Eric. Well done.
Well, I would just like to say, on this podcast, I have been a kingmaker before, and you can refer to Spike Cohen as I asked Tubbs to reach out to him.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't know if we were following through with that.
Yeah, follow through with that.
Oh,
but
I did not.
You know,
so,
and I have this clip somewhere where Spike will actually admit after I endorsed him with I've reached out to this guy so many times, his former running mate, and his name escapes me right now, and I blame the 1990s and when Chronic came into the general consensus.
Now you're talking like a black man. Well done, Marcus.
Dr. Dre.
But, you know, his former running mate before he hooked up with Jorgensen. What was the guy's name?
The guy with the boot.
Berman Supreme.
Berman Supreme, yeah. That's who Spike originally ran with, and then he ended up winning the VP nomination. And I came out in support of Berman Supreme because, you know, I'm from California. A guy with a rubber boot on his head, that's nothing. That is like, hey, look, he has a rubber boot on his head. What do we do? You know, we're just keep it moving on here. He fit in perfectly in Southern California. Now what?
But there's that right there is the issue. It's okay. So like when Eric and I and Tracy were running, we kept trying to make sure, hey, we're going to do this properly. We can't do the gimmicks. We can't, because that's already what the party is known for. And that was part of the things that we had to run against. We had to run against people who heard these things, saw those things, like that guy stripped at the convention. Like these are all the things that we had to counter.
Yeah.
And I go, I just okay. So this is like real talk, safe space type stuff. I sometimes question whether the Libertarian Party even wants to be taken seriously. I truly believe that many times we forget that we're a political party, and I think that we just want to be this online social fighting group that people want to fight over control of the party and not what the party is supposed to be doing.
That's why I love the current chair.
Yes, Stephen.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, he's got a lot to overcome. Like I told him last week, I said, unfortunately, there is nothing that's happened yet that's make me want to go back in and go, we're back in again. We're going to do this again. And so I look at it and I go, if we're not going to be taken serious, because even though the three of us ran locally and we ran serious, like we did what we were supposed to, like, I think we actually ran well. You know what I'm saying? But there was still, we're still attached to the bigger unit. We're still attached to the bigger group. And so when people go and find out about the bigger group, we lose credibility based on that. And so that's why I say, if you're going to run as a candidate, do you finally go, you know what? I don't want to spend my time fighting the stigma. I don't want to fight the stink and beat the stink off of me the whole time. I want to go and try to be effective. And unfortunately, I don't think the party has done much to change that.
They haven't, because if you're not going to do the media, and most people get their media from podcasts like this, most people get their media from ads in the mail, as well as those commercials on their local cable network. If you're not going to do that, you cannot be taken seriously, because people see that from the duopoly on a regular basis. They get the crap from the duopoly. And as we wrap this up, because my man Eric has to.
Oh yeah, he's got it.
He's gotta go. This has been we didn't even touch on the tariffs and the signal scandal.
Tariffs.
Yeah.
We dabbled in the signal thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of did. Yeah.
Look, real quick, how about Marcus? What's your thought on tariffs? Like, give us a quick, expound briefly. I got time.
Tariffs are taxes. Taxes are theft. This is nothing but another way for corporate America to make a profit off the American people. Although Wall Street is saying tariffs are bad, corporate America are looking at this as 25% tariffs equal 25% profits. And that's my personal opinion, because they're going to raise their prices, as it already is right now, where they're making a profit. And the tariffs, the United States government is not getting that money per se. They're not getting that money. It's not reducing the deficit. If tariffs reduce the deficit, the United States would have been doing that under every single administration since Jimmy Carter. Because that's when our manufacturing base started extremely shifting towards Asia. The United States government would have figured that out under Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan said tariffs are not what you do. So my opinion on tariffs is and I got to be, so basically today I was talking to my coworkers. He just started with me in my government job, full disclosure, and his friends are getting laid off right now that worked in the private sector, because the economy, everything in our economy is based on speculation, and businesses are already shrinking their overhead because they speculate that the economy is going to retract. And so that's why I think the economic policy on tariffs is detrimental to the policies of American kitchen tables.
So I was looking for a post I made at some point about tariffs, and someone, oh, here it is. Here's a reminder that you're paying tariffs and an income tax right now. I believe there was a guy who's involved with the Republican Party back in Jacksonville. Can't remember his name, but I was trying to find his comment on it. But he basically said that, give me one real world example of tariff. Oh, here it is. I posted the meme of tariffs, and then it's like the Tom and Jerry, and the gun comes back shooting Mag in the head. Anyways, here's the dang it, I can't find it. Anyway, the comment was basically give me one real world example of tariffs. Like, oh, do you want one? Because yesterday at the company I work for, industrial company that produces communication equipment for telecommunication companies, we have a piece of equipment that has a gearbox that is made in Canada for this specific equipment. No one else makes it. The gearbox alone cost $26,000, and we probably have about 30 of them in our plant. And overnight, that went up by 25% if you have the Canadian tariffs. Literally, that is a piece of manufacturing equipment in America used to make fiber optic cable that is used in America. So guess where those prices are going to go? To everyone's internet bill. It's going to go to the communication company, to go to us, so that we can pay it back to the manufacturer that's gearbox in Canada. So the prices of your fiber optics is going to go up 25%. There it is.
So the company, I didn't want to name the company that I was referring to when I spoke earlier, but it was Qualcomm, and Qualcomm deals in cellular, fiber optic, all kinds of communication. That was the company that my friend told me his friends got laid off from today.
We didn't even know.
That was not a connection. I want to guarantee everybody
dude.
That's crazy.
That is freaking crazy, because that's what he told me today. Because he works for my friend that works for me now formerly worked for a contractor that did like networking stuff and communications and linking networks and stuff. But he said his friends from Qualcomm got laid off today. Several his friends that he knows got laid off today from Qualcomm. So that is knucking butts. You brought that up, dude, right now, dude. That was
real world example. Like literally, I work in the maintenance shop, and they're like, we need this gearbox, and I don't. The goal was like, we got to buy it today because tomorrow it goes up by 25%.
Oh, yeah, because Qualcomm is based in San Diego, an hour and a half from where I am right now, and it's nuts that these layoffs and these work slowdowns are happening. And
that's the thing is, like, I guess you don't have to raise your prices by 25%. You could just lay people off, which
that's typically what they're, because
that's how they're going to try to save money.
The major cost in any business is labor, and the first thing you want to do, if you're going to ask those people that you didn't lay off, and they're naturally going to do it to work harder to keep their job, and almost every American will do that to keep their job when they know, specifically in my Ebonics, specifically. I didn't say specifically. I said specifically. The number one cost in doing business is labor, and when you have these issues that present itself, the first thing you want to do is reduce your overhead for maximum profit. And I'm not against this whatsoever. I'm not against capitalism, but you have to understand, when you remove consumers from the marketplace, that removes capital from the marketplace.
So real quick, are you suggesting that Trump should have done nothing and just allow it to continue?
I'm saying tariffs are not a sound economic principle.
So is there a better way? Now, I'm not saying that I'm supporting Trump or anti-Trump in this one. Right. I see both sides of this one. I'm not going to lie. I see both sides.
I have the answer.
Go ahead.
Deregulate.
Yes.
And then all corporations are producing more, making more money, and you didn't necessarily you could incrementally decrease corporate taxes as GDP goes up in conjunction, and also cut federal spending.
But hold on.
Cut federal spending.
There's the bigger one. Does deregulation, though, is that enough? Because remember what we're talking about. We're talking about like from import standards. And so if we just deregulate, is that enough to have the American-made products more profitable, that becomes a reason not to buy imported things?
Well, that wouldn't. The problem is we still have to export American products, or the corporations aren't going to stay open. There aren't enough Americans here to buy American to keep the corporations in place. They have to export to other countries.
But
that's why the free market is great, because we innovate as long as we don't let the government step in and stop us from innovating.
Right, but here's the problem: is that we don't control free trade going the other way. And so the other side, there are countries, I was looking at some stuff the other day, and there are some countries that do not import some of our products. So in fact, I think one of them is some of our vehicles that we make here. And they don't bring them in at all.
Do you know
So free
why
trade.
they don't?
So, but free trade's not existing.
But
You know
do
what I'm
you
saying?
know why?
So
Do you know why they don't import our vehicles?
some of them was because they already make their own there. They don't want the competition of
Well,
American vehicles
but
coming in.
one reason is because our vehicles are too expensive in those countries. Do you know why our vehicles are too expensive in those countries?
But hold on,
Because
There-
of all the safety
Well,
regulations
yes,
required
California, because of
with our
California.
vehicle. No,
Shut
but
up.
the North American Free Trade Agreement and
Yep.
all the vehicle manufacturings and the requirements to have all of that crap in our vehicles is why you can't get a cheap Toyota Helix here in
But
America.
but
You know
there's
what I
an
mean?
issue
But I
though,
could
is
buy
that
one in Saudi Arabia right now, and they got money.
that's what they're saying, is that there are places where these items are not available, regardless of how much money you have. You can't get them in
Well,
because, and so what I'm saying is this: the part that I understand what Trump is trying to do. The goal, and I don't say he's crushing it and getting it there. The goal is, hey, I'll make you a deal. You're hurting us coming in, so we're going to hurt you coming in. So the goal that should get us to free trade, where they go, fine, we'll drop ours, you drop yours. Now we're trading openly.
well,
Yes, sir.
Can may I interject for 1 second?
Marcus, interject.
Yes.
Make it quick. I gotta go.
I
Yeah.
think, I don't want to keep you much longer, but I think this is the World War II mentality when the United States was the only industrialized country that remained after 1945.
After, okay, all right.
All of Europe was destroyed. All of Asia was destroyed, and the United States was the pinnacle of industrial manufacturing for the entire world. Over the next 30 plus years, that transition to Asia and to a slighter extent Europe because of cheaper labor, because you were starting anew and you couldn't start at that pinnacle point. And so, what America is realizing right now is we're no longer in that industrial World War II age. And that's what you saw during the 70s and 80s in the United States, where manufacturing shifted from the continental United States to the Asian theater,
Mhm.
and to a lesser extent, the European, as they built up their economies. And now this is the natural reaction from the United States because of trade deficits and whatnot, that we have to now fight in a nationalistic rage to bring back manufacturing where you only needed a one income house, and everybody wants to regale over their grandparents. Only my granddad worked and my grandma was fine. That doesn't exist. That's a cultural and nationalistic thing that simply can't exist anymore because we're in a global economy where every freaking region of this earth is dependent upon another for one
Yep.
reason or another. And the primitive idealism of thinking that America could be the pinnacle again of industrialized nations is no longer even realistic, and it's a pipe dream. And that's what I have to say about that. That's
That really grinds my gears.
That grinds my gear. He's ready to be a dad.
yeah,
All
and
right,
that's
Marcus, are you getting us out of here?
yeah, we're getting out of here because I consider you both my brothers. I honestly love you. I honestly love Michael White. I wish he was here too. You guys bring me joy and happiness in our talk. So I want to thank you
Wow.
both. That's not buttering your buns. Tub, I still want to say your face disturbs me to no end. Eric, you're okay, but you kind of like
Dude, you were
sometimes.
just trying to tell me like I'm the pinnacle of a North Carolinian candidate. Now you're like, you're okay.
Yeah, but
I don't
how
want
good
to
are they
build
really?
you up
You
too much.
know.
That's the thing. I don't want to build you guys up too much. I want to show you one thing before we leave. Okay.
Are we pulling out
man.
guns?
Yeah.
There you go.
This is my 50 Beowulf AR-15 that I bought a 50 Beowulf upper from Bear Creek Arms. I am ready
Promo.
for semi-truck engine blocks and elephants. And this is the only thing I want to show. I'm picking up a Glock 30 SF this weekend, and I have with my commie California 10-day waiting period, HK P2000 B2 40 cal for my CCW. I just want to say I don't understand the 10-day waiting period when I have multiple firearms already. It's one of the stupidest things that America does, and the courts have continuously upheld the fact that people like me who own several firearms and try to get a new one, I don't need a waiting period to buy a new firearm. If I was going to do something crazy,
you're gonna go shoot something up. I'm just gonna do it
yeah,
while I have it home.
why do I need to wait? Dude, we're 20 guns in. This is not a 10-day waiting period. It's one of the stupidest things that I ever.
Hey, Marcus, hear me out. I figured out a way for you to work with the California legislature. Just point out the idiocy of that and be like, look, let's compromise. Your first gun, there's a 10-day. The rest, there's a no-day waiting period. Or
I'd be willing to do a 3-day because I think every American should own a minimum of 3 guns: a pistol, a shotgun, and a semi-automatic rifle. So
if somebody heard me say that, they'd be like, not a real libertarian. He wants to compromise. But I'm just saying, like, look, the first one, keep the 10-day. The rest of them, whatever. You walk out the store with it like it's Walmart. Which in most states you could literally do that with guns. Buy a gun at Walmart.
I can go into the gun store here and walk out with one.
Yeah. In some states, if you have, like in here in North Carolina, if you have a concealed carry permit, that's the case. You can walk.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
Like you know, like we don't have to have them here anymore, but I'm keeping mine because it makes it reciprocity. So I can go to these other states.
That's why I applied for mine. Like how many months ago was that? Like at least a month, maybe 2 months ago. I still haven't heard anything back.
Are you serious?
You got to go through your sheriff's department here. It's weird.
Oh my!
Which I kind of like that.
But it's not going any better. It's not going any faster.
Yeah, exactly. I digress. All right, guys. I ain't trying to tell Marcus what to do. Here's a shameless plug from a company that's not paying us any money yet, but we
knock it off, dude. Knock it off. And I can send you one.
I'm working some angles here, but I want to thank
Marcus. I just want to say I had a great time tonight. I really did. It was totally worth it. I was hesitant to be like, we don't got a guest, blah, blah, blah. And then I came on and I had a lot of fun tonight. More fun than normal. So appreciate it, brother.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Tub, as well. Thank you, Eric. We got to let Eric go to bed. He has to get up early. But as usual, and I hope you both join me in this, every time we end this podcast, we like to say one phrase about all Americans: live free
or die.